She said she is leaving for something better. Now she is contacting me again. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support means a lot, and it helps me keep sharing these stories with you. Now, let's dive into today's story. Hi, I'm a 28-year-old guy, and for nearly 3 years, I was in a relationship with my girlfriend, who's 27. When we first started dating, everything felt perfect. We connected on so many levels: our sense of humor, our goals in life, and even how we dealt with challenges. That connection made me think we had something solid, something that could stand the test of time. After a year of dating, we decided to move in together. I thought it was a natural step forward in our relationship. Sharing a space, building a life together, it felt right. The first 2 years were great, or at least I thought they were. We had our occasional disagreements, like any couple, but nothing that ever made me doubt our relationship. But then, a few months ago, I started noticing subtle changes in her behavior. At first, it was small things, like spending more time on her phone or being less communicative when I asked about her day. She started going out more often with her friends, which wasn't unusual, but the frequency increased. She'd come home later and later, sometimes with vague explanations about where she'd been. I tried to be understanding. I didn't want to be the jealous or controlling boyfriend. Everyone deserves their space, and I didn't want to be the guy who questioned her every move. But as weeks went by, her behavior became harder to ignore. Whenever I casually asked who she was texting, she'd get defensive, even irritated, which wasn't like her. I convinced myself that I was overthinking it. I told myself to trust her. After all, we'd never had issues with infidelity before, and I genuinely believed we were happy together. Then, 2 weeks ago, everything came crashing down. It was a regular weekday, and I was supposed to work a full day at the office. But unexpectedly, my boss decided to let me leave early. I remember feeling excited. This was a chance to surprise my girlfriend. Maybe we could spend some quality time together, something we hadn't done much of lately. As I unlocked the door to our apartment, I immediately sensed that something was off. It's hard to explain, but the air felt different. There was a tension I couldn't quite place. I walked in, calling out her name, but she didn't respond. That's when I noticed the bedroom door was slightly ajar. I pushed it open, and there she was sitting on the bed, fully clothed, but far too close to some guy I'd never seen before. They both froze when they saw me, like deer caught in headlights. The guy looked panicked, mumbling something under his breath like, "I should go," before practically sprinting out of the apartment. I didn't even focus on him. He was just some random guy to me at that moment. My attention was entirely on her. She immediately started denying everything. "It's not what it looks like," she said, her voice shaky. "We were just talking." Talking? In our bedroom? Sitting inches apart? The scene didn't add up. I wasn't buying it, and I told her as much. That's when her tone shifted. "It's nothing," she said, trying to downplay the situation. It didn't mean anything, but I wasn't letting it go. I kept pushing for the truth, and eventually, her defenses crumbled. She got emotional, claiming she'd been in a dark place for a while and felt like I wasn't there for her. That accusation hit me like a truck. I had always tried to be supportive, to be there for her in every way I could. I worked hard to provide for us, to build a stable life together. I couldn't believe she was using that as an excuse for her behavior. I told her that if she had been feeling this way, we could have talked about it. We could have worked through it together. But instead, she chose to cheat. That's when her entire demeanor changed. She stopped pretending to be remorseful and dropped the act altogether. "Honestly, I'm glad you found out," she said. Her voice was cold, detached. "I've met someone else. He's an upgrade. He's wealthier, better looking, and after being with him, I realized I settled for you." Those words cut deeper than anything she'd said before. It wasn't just betrayal. It was her outright disdain for everything we'd built together. I stood there, stunned, as she continued to talk about how this new guy made her realize what she truly wanted in life. I couldn't listen anymore. The woman I thought I knew, the person I'd planned my future with, had been replaced by someone I didn't recognize. I didn't yell or argue. Instead, I calmly told her to pack her things and leave. She tried to argue, saying she had nowhere to go, but I was firm. I didn't care where she went, I just knew she couldn't stay with me anymore. Over the next few days, I went through a roller coaster of emotions. There was anger, of course, but also sadness, confusion, and a sense of betrayal that I couldn't shake. I replayed our relationship in my mind, looking for signs I might have missed. I kept asking myself, what did I do wrong? But as time passed, I realized something important. Her actions weren't a reflection of my worth. I had given my all to the relationship, and if she chose to throw it away for someone else, that was on her. It didn't make me less of a person or less deserving of love. I started focusing on myself, rediscovering the hobbies and interests I'd put aside during our relationship. I reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in a while, and I even started going to therapy to work through my feelings. It wasn't an easy process, but slowly, I began to feel like myself again. Then, a few weeks later, I got a text from her. She apologized for how things ended and said she'd made a mistake. Apparently, her upgrade wasn't as perfect as she'd thought. She wanted to meet up and talk things through. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. She'd made her choice, and I'd made mine. I blocked her number and moved on with my life. Looking back, I'm grateful for what happened, as painful as it was. It forced me to reevaluate my priorities and focus on my own happiness. I've learned to trust my instincts and set boundaries, and I know now that I deserve a partner who values and respects me. So, if you're going through something similar, remember this. It's not the end of the world. It's a chance to grow, to learn, and to find someone who truly appreciates you for who you are. Don't settle for less than you deserve. And most importantly, don't let someone else's betrayal define your worth. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, or if you've experienced something similar, let me know in the comments below. And remember to like and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time. I was stunned. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was how casually she dismissed our 3 years together, like they meant nothing. She packed a small bag, told me she'd come back for the rest of her things later, and walked out without so much as an apology. For days, I was in shock. I replayed her words over and over in my head, trying to make sense of how someone I thought I knew so well could turn out to be so heartless. It wasn't just the cheating that hurt, it was the lack of remorse, the way she acted as if I was nothing more than a stepping stone on her way to something better. I found myself questioning everything. Was it all a lie? Did she ever really love me? Or was I just convenient until something more appealing came along? At first, I wallowed in self-pity. Nights were sleepless, and days felt like a fog. I'd stare at my phone, half expecting her to call, to say it was all a mistake. But that call never came. Instead, I'd see glimpses of her new life through mutual friends' posts or hear bits of gossip, each piece cutting deeper than the last. She was flaunting her new relationship like a trophy, as if our 3 years together had been erased overnight. It stung. But as time went on, I started to see things more clearly. Her leaving was a blessing in disguise. If she thought she was upgrading, then good luck to her. I deserve someone who values me, someone who's loyal and committed, not someone who's always looking for the next best thing. It was a harsh lesson, but one I needed to learn. The pain forced me to reflect, to understand my worth, and to realize that her actions were more about her character than mine. 6 months after she left, I had blocked her on everything: social media, phone, email. I wanted nothing to do with her. My life had started to take a new shape. I threw myself into work, picked up hobbies I had neglected, and reconnected with old friends. It was liberating to focus on myself for a change. Then, out of nowhere, I got a message from an unknown number. It was her. She wanted to talk, to clear the air. My heart raced as I read her message, but not out of longing or anger. It was disbelief. After everything, she had the audacity to reach out? I didn't even hesitate. I told her no and asked her to never contact me again. But she didn't give up. She sent me a long message, pouring out a sob story about how she'd made a huge mistake. According to her, the guy she left me for had used her. She said he came into her life when she was at her weakest and manipulated her. Now, she claimed to realize how much I truly loved her and regretted everything she'd done. She painted herself as a victim, hoping I'd take pity on her. I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just indifference. Her words didn't move me because, by that point, I had already moved on. I told her I wished her the best, but made it clear I had no interest in revisiting that chapter of my life. Then, I blocked her number. It was a pivotal moment for me, a clear sign that I had healed. A few weeks ago, I ran into a mutual friend who knew someone in her circle. He asked if I'd heard what happened to her after we broke up. I said I didn't care to know, but he told me anyway. Apparently, the guy she thought was an upgrade was married the entire time. She believed she was his main girl, but she was just a side piece. When she found out, she tried to pressure him into leaving his wife. Instead, he kicked her out of the apartment they were living in. She ended up homeless for a while, couch surfing with friends, before finally moving into a small apartment in Ohio. Hearing this didn't bring me joy or satisfaction. It just reinforced what I already knew. Her choices were her downfall, not mine. Looking back, I'm just grateful I made the decision to cut her off. If I hadn't, who knows how much more damage she could have done to my life. As for me, I'm in a much better place now. I've focused on my career, my hobbies, and my personal growth. I've met new people, formed stronger relationships, and rediscovered my self-worth. I even started traveling, something I'd always wanted to do but had put off during our relationship. Each trip felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. It's crazy how someone you thought you knew so well can turn out to be a complete stranger. Or maybe they were always that way, and you just didn't see it until it was too late. Either way, I'm thankful that chapter is closed. It's not just about moving on from her. It's about moving forward in life with a clearer vision of what I want and deserve. If you've ever been in a situation like this, just know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. It might hurt now, but in time, you'll see that you deserve so much better. People who truly care about you won't betray your trust or take your love for granted. They'll stand by you, not step over you. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more. Your support means the world to me.